On a crisp winter afternoon, as the sun dipped towards the western horizon, painting the bustling streets of New York in hues of gold, the news reached Eleanor Robinson. Eleanor, who had gracefully navigated 80 springs of life, possessed a mind as clear as an autumn sky. Though age had somewhat weakened her body, her sharp intellect and keen observational skills remained undiminished. She called her younger son, David, and informed him, "David, your elder son, Michael, and his wife, Sarah, have pulled off something peculiar under the guise of your granddaughter Grace's graduation party." David, a middle-aged professor, was somewhat taken aback by his mother's words. Grace's graduation party had already taken place last month. He inquired, "What happened, Mom? What did Michael and Sarah do now? Is there a problem?" David's voice carried a clear note of concern. He knew his mother wasn't easily flustered, so when she spoke of such matters, there was undoubtedly a serious reason behind it. David held deep respect for his mother. She had managed their household her entire life, raising 2 sons. Her simplicity and integrity had always impressed David. Thus, when his mother brought forth such a grave accusation, David took it seriously. Eleanor Robinson calmly stated. They organized a grand party at a prominent restaurant for Grace's graduation. It was quite an elaborate affair. The banquet hall of the city's renowned Grandview Hotel was rented. Many people attended, and everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves. But their real intention was something else. They went to meet with a lawyer named Daniel Thomas. Their objective was to question my mental competency, so they could seize control of my property and wealth. Eleanor's voice held no accusation, only a profound sense of disappointment and a harsh realization of reality. A weariness etched itself onto her face, as if she had encountered an unexpected blow at this advanced age.
Initially, David began targeting Ricky Valentine's smaller drug deals. He roamed the dark alleys of New York at night, where Valentine's men sold drugs. David would destroy their drugs, steal their money, and create discord among them. He operated in such a way that it seemed like another rival gang was responsible for these actions. This created chaos in Valentine's empire and led to significant financial losses. Valentine realized that someone was actively working against him. He instructed his men to find this enemy. But David was like a shadow, almost impossible to catch. David took every step with extreme caution. He left no trace, no evidence. His only identity was his black hoodie and the fire of revenge in his eyes. David's next target was Valentine's money laundering routes. He discovered that Valentine brought drugs from Mexico to New York and laundered the money through various shell companies. David tracked these routes and disrupted Valentine's communication with the Mexican cartel. He leaked Valentine's vulnerabilities to the Mexican cartel, creating distrust among them. This broke Valentine's supply chain and severely damaged his business. Valentine then understood that this enemy was no ordinary person. He learned David's name and began investigating his past. When he found out that David's wife had died at the hands of his gang, Valentine understood the reason for David's revenge. Valentine sent his best hitmen to eliminate David.
Eleanor Robinson sighed and said, "I, of course, understood their game. Nowadays, children often mistake the simplicity of elders for weakness. They think, she's old, she doesn't understand anything. But I am not a girl of yesterday. I was observing their movements. When I saw them trying to meet Daniel Thomas, I didn't sit idly by. I appointed my own lawyer, Emily Jones." Eleanor's voice carried a firmness that reassured David. His mother, seemingly gentle, was inwardly incredibly resolute. Her shrewdness consistently impressed David. Eleanor had always believed that silence and patience were powerful weapons. She knew that dealing with a situation wisely was far more effective than direct confrontation. Eleanor Robinson had Emily Jones draft a new will for all her property and had also obtained a medical report confirming her full mental competency. She said, "I don't want any disputes over my property among my children after my death. I had intended to divide my property equally among everyone. But I never imagined Michael and Sarah would stoop so low. Their greed has forced me to think differently. Her words held a suppressed pain that David could feel. It's not easy for any mother to accept such behavior from her own children. A kind of agony gnawed at Eleanor's heart. She hadn't wanted to see her children in such a greedy light, but the harsh truth of reality compelled her to accept it. David was impressed by his mother's wisdom. He knew that his mother had not only protected her own dignity but had also tried to avert future family conflicts. Listening to his mother, he vowed to stand by her and not let Michael and Sarah's heinous plot succeed. He knew this fight wouldn't be easy, for the lure of money blinds people. This incident left a deep wound in David's heart. He couldn't recognize his own son. A question arose in his mind. How could a person change so much? How could one disregard blood relations and chase after money? A few days later, David summoned Michael and Sarah to his home in Springfield. The atmosphere was tense. Even on a winter afternoon, a chilling breeze seemed to sweep through the house. Michael and Sarah initially didn't understand why they had been called. A certain discomfort was evident on their faces. David came straight to the point. His voice held no anger, only the echo of a harsh truth. He said, "Michael, Sarah, I know what you did under the guise of Grace's graduation party." A firmness in David's eyes made Michael and Sarah even more uneasy. Michael initially tried to deny it. His face turned pale. "What are you saying, Dad? We were just celebrating Grace's graduation. What is all this you're saying?" His voice held a pretense that further annoyed David. A fear gnawed at Michael, for he knew David didn't speak lightly. Sarah added, "Yes, we just wanted to make Grace happy. We wanted to make her graduation special." Sarah's face showed a kind of helplessness, which was actually an attempt to hide their guilt. She couldn't meet David's gaze. David, calmly but firmly, said, "You met with a lawyer named Daniel Thomas to question my mother's mental competency. You thought Eleanor was weak, that she didn't understand anything. You thought she was old, her memory faded, so she could be easily fooled. But you were wrong. Eleanor is far more astute than you. Her intellect is sharper than you can imagine." Every word from David pierced Michael and Sarah like an arrow. A sharp blow struck their hearts. Michael and Sarah's faces turned pale. They looked at each other. The fear of being caught was evident on their faces. Their bodies seemed to freeze. David continued, "Eleanor had already learned about your scheme. She didn't sit idly by. She had her own lawyer, Emily Jones, draft a new will. And she also obtained a medical report proving her full mental competency. Your legal strategy was dead on arrival. There's no chance for what you intended to do. All of Eleanor's property is now secured in such a way that you cannot seize it." David spoke, looking them directly in the eye, so they would understand he wasn't lying. His voice carried a final warning. Sarah angrily retorted, "What are you saying, David? Doesn't Eleanor trust us? We were only looking out for Eleanor's good. We just wanted Eleanor not to make any wrong decisions. She's old, so we just wanted to help a little." Her voice held a false excuse that further infuriated David. Sarah desperately tried to cover up her wrongdoing. David cut Sarah off, saying, "You are not doing anything for Eleanor's good. You are only acting for your own self-interest. You thought that if Eleanor's property came into your hands, you would become even wealthier. You thought you could exploit Eleanor's simplicity for your own gain. Eleanor understands your game of greed very well. She doesn't want any disputes among her children after her death. That's why she has made all arrangements. She didn't want the family's peace to be destroyed by your greed. You cannot even imagine how much pain your greed has caused her." Michael remained silent. He realized their plot had been exposed. His head hung low. A sense of shame and humiliation gnawed at him. Sarah broke down in despair. All their plans had been thwarted. Their dreams shattered. David clearly told them, "If you ever again reach for Eleanor's property, the consequences will not be good. I will be forced to take strict action against you. I will not give you any quarter." David's words carried a final warning that frightened Michael and Sarah. They understood that David would not compromise this time. Some time later, Eleanor Robinson hosted a family dinner on a Sunday afternoon. The purpose of this dinner was not merely to eat, but to expose Michael and Sarah's true intentions and to inform Grace about her parents' real motives. Grace, Michael and Sarah's only daughter, who was very dear to her grandmother, was also present. A curiosity was evident on her face, as she didn't understand why this dinner had suddenly been arranged. Grace loved her grandmother very much. To her, her grandmother was a refuge, a source of unwavering support. After dinner, Eleanor Robinson called everyone into the living room. The atmosphere was calm, but an underlying tension simmered. Everyone sat on the sofas. Eleanor Robinson calmly said, "Today, I want to tell you all something important." Her voice carried a firmness that captured everyone's attention. A certain steadiness in her eyes indicated that she was about to say something significant. Michael and Sarah were uneasy. They didn't know what was about to happen. A fear gnawed at them. Their hearts pounded. Eleanor Robinson looked at Grace and said, "Grace, you are my beloved granddaughter. You are everything to me. I have saved something for you." Her face showed a kind of affection that reassured Grace. Grace smiled back at her grandmother.